Greetings from Cybertron. This is SoundJack here with Alyssa.
Hello.
And today we are talking about A Series of Unfortunate Events, Season 2.
Woo!
So, if you don't know what A Series of Unfortunate Events is, you should go check out the last podcast we did about A Series of Unfortunate Events, Season 1, that we recorded and posted in preparation for the release of Season 2 on Netflix. We always try to give shows about 2 months from their end. Well, shows like this, 2 months from their end, to make sure everyone has a chance to see it. It's a little over 2 months, but, I mean, hey, you're still here, and we are still excited to talk about it.
Woo!
So, again, we're in the middle of this. We're in the middle of the series, so you should be familiar with it. If not, again, Netflix is right there for you.
Yep. For those of you who don't know this, or just as a refresher, the series, these episodes are going through the next five books, from 5 to 9. And those are the Austere Academy, the Ersatz Elevator, the Vile Village, the Horrible Hospital. Hostile Hospital. I always forget that one for some reason. And the Carnivorous Carnival. So, For those of you who read the books, those are the books that the series does.
Yep.
And then I guess the remaining season will be the remaining 4 books.
Yes. Which makes sense. We got 10 episodes this season, as each book is split into 2 episodes to make sure the story is not condensed too much.
Yep.
A couple of these, from what Alyssa's describing me, have a bunch of additional content too.
Yes. Yes.
Because I am not familiar with the books, while Alyssa is.
Yep.
But let's just get started. Let's get right into the nitty-gritty spoiler stuff. We'll just go in chronological order.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of makes this a bit easier because there's a lot to talk about.
There is.
So we're going to start with Austere Academy, and episode starts where this season starts where last season ended, with the Baudelaire children sitting on the bench outside the vice principal's office with new set of friends.
Yep.
The Quagmire triplets, even though there are only 2 of them, because
one of them died in the fire.
Yep, and they also coincidentally happen to have a huge fortune.
As you do. Also, the Quagmire triplets were in the previous season. They were the children of the mother and father characters.
They were those people.
Yep.
I forgot about that.
Yep. So that's when they were first initially introduced, and then we saw a mysterious person whose identity, a mysterious person burned down their house. So, yeah.
Fun. So they are here, and they become friends with the Baudelaires, but before the Baudelaires meet them, they do have to meet the vice principal of the school, Vice Principal Nero, who aspires to be a world-renowned violinist.
Yep, and he even writes a letter to Mozart. There's that one scene, you remember?
Yeah, didn't he write like 7 letters to Mozart?
Yeah, he was like, I can't understand why you aren't responding to me. It's like, dude,
he's dead.
He's been dead for centuries. Yeah, so Vice Principal Nero, he's a pretty not cool guy, and that's putting it lightly. I will say, in comparison to the book, he is a little bit more of a doofus and a little dumber and not as smart. I mean, like, he's not necessarily smart in the books, but he's a bit more of a bad guy, and he doesn't have a lot of. He's not as goofy as he is in this one. He's a little more goofy here.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Yeah. He feels uncaring to his position. He feels uncaring to the people beneath him, pretty much throughout this whole thing.
Yep.
Another character we get introduced to that is also an antagonist is Carmelita Spatz.
Yep, the annoying little brat herself.
It's a kiss up to Nero, who he thinks can do no wrong, even though she's the plastic. She's the plastic of this school.
Yes.
if you get that joke from Mean Girls. And then, but the thing I'll say about her that surprised me was I did not expect her to actually be a cake sniffer.
Yeah, that wasn't a thing in the books. She just uses that as an insult. So the fact that she is a literal cake sniffer is pretty funny.
Yep.
I thought that was a pretty good joke.
Yeah. We also got introduced to some nice people.
Yay! A lot of nice people.
Both of them are introduced earlier than they are in the books.
Yes.
But we'll get into more about that when we actually get to the episodes. But the characters that we are talking about are Olivia Caliban, who is the librarian of the school at a library that is only open for 10 minutes a day.
Yeah. Those budget cuts, man.
Yeah. As well as Jacques Snicket, who helps save our friendly waiter Larry out of the freezer after...
Carmelita gets her in there. Olaf. Olaf puts him in there.
Yeah.
With Carmelita's help.
Yep.
Yeah. I gotta say, Nathan Fillion was perfect casting for Jacques. Not only does he look kind of like Patrick Warburton to the point where that you could consider them brothers, but Nathan Fillion just plays the James Bond, I've been around the block kind of guy really well. And he's definitely a different character from Lemony, who's a bit more subdued and bookish kind of. I mean, all of the members of VFD are bookish, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
But speaking of VFD, this is the first proper instances of us hearing that name, correct?
I think. I don't know if VFD was ever mentioned. If those letters were ever mentioned in words in any of the previous episodes. I don't know if you remembered.
Yeah, I don't necessarily remember. However, at the very least, those letters start to appear with increasing frequency.
Yeah.
Starting with this episode.
I mean, I think when we talked about last time, we just referred to it as the secret society, secret organization that was kind of surrounding things, but we didn't know. Well, I knew, but we didn't know. The collective we didn't know who they were or what they were, but then VFD is when that's the actual initials. So that aspect, I guess, is similar to the book. You don't actually see the letters or hear the letters VFD in that order or in that significance until that point. And while the secret organization stuff is sort of in the background throughout all of the books, this is the book, at least in the books, when it's okay, there's a secret organization that's somehow connecting everything that's in this area. I would still argue that the movies make it a bit more of a thing. Oh, not the movies. The episodes make it a bit more of a thing than the books did, at least for the first season. But this is where it starts to pick up. So. Yes. VFD, what's their deal? Who are they? I guess we'll find out.
We don't know quite yet, but we will actually get to that by the end of the episode.
Yep.
A fair bit. But before we get to more of VFD and more of Jacques Snicket, we do have Olaf's plan in this episode where he disguises himself as a gym teacher, trying to work the kids into complete exhaustion.
Yep.
So as they fail their exams or kicked out of school, and somehow he takes ownership of them and then gets their fortune.
Yep.
Something profit.
Also, fun fact, Olaf's disguise, Coach Genghis is referencing Genghis Khan, who would torture a lot of people, so...
Yay.
References. Okay, there's too many references in these books, in these movies,
plenty of references.
In the series, there's so many. Yeah. Anyway,
but with the help of their new friends, the Quagmires, the Baudelaires are able to pass their exams, and they still have to leave the school after this episode because it's found out that Genghis is Count Olaf, even though there's a super fancy computer zone. It's not Olaf screen.
Yep.
Thingy that fails. But so that happens, and then that's pretty much the episode. Oh, and then the Quagmires were kidnapped too.
Yes, they got kidnapped instead of the Baudelaire's. But they did find out a lot about VFD and what their deal is through the incomplete history of secret organizations.
Yes. Which they know what's going on. And this, I think that was the first time we really saw VFD.
Yeah.
When they were looking through the book. But unfortunately, they cannot share that information with with our main characters.
Nope.
As they are locked inside the car of the criminals.
Yeah. So overall, I think this was a good. I don't know. What did you think of this episode? This book, I guess.
This season has a lot of books that are very bunch more than the first season.
Yeah.
Or the first set of books. This one is definitely an overall plot much more in line with the general overall plot of the previous books.
Yeah.
Again, they always vary it up different ways. But uncaring caretaker who can't see through the disguise. Olaf dumb plan. Mr. Poe being an idiot.
Mr. Poe is consistently an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's still around. Yeah, I know you wanted him to not appear past season 1, but
so
we're back again.
Dense.
Here he is. For your viewing pleasure.
But anyway, we move on to the ersatz elevator.
Yes.
Ersatz,
by the way, meaning empty.
And we move along, and after the whole thing at the school, the kids are taken. They're still enrolled, I want to say.
It's not really clear.
Yeah, it's not necessarily clear, but at the very least, they're not staying at the school anymore.
No, they go to 667 Dark Avenue, where we get some new characters. We got Jerome and Esme Squalor. Jerome is a very nervous man. Not nervous,
but like
very, very like he likes his calm.
Yeah.
He's the husband to Esme Squalor, who is the city's sixth most important financial advisor, which she makes sure you remember the whole time.
Yes.
And she's also sort of like very much a snobby rich person who only cares about fashion and
cares what is in.
Yep. She only got the Baudelaires because orphans were in at that point.
Yes. And then very quickly we see how quickly things change as they were into dark for the time, and then light was back in.
Yep.
So
and then
also how elevators are out, not like the elevators broken. The elevators are just out.
Yep. There's that joke. There's also I'm trying to think. I don't think too many new characters are introduced in Ersatz Elevator.
No. Those are definitely the main ones.
Yep.
Especially. As we deal with the Baudelaires now trying to not only hide from Count Olaf while citywide manhunt for him being underway, but also being concerned about finding their friends.
Yes.
The Quagmire triplets. However, very, very quickly into the episode, we know Count Olaf is in the apartment.
Yeah, he's just there immediately.
He's just there.
We don't get to see how he gets in.
There's just a brief comment from the Jerome about like how'd he get here, and then Esme is just like, oh, remember this is the man I told you paid us to just stand behind the curtains.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I remember you mentioning about him.
Yeah, and he's because his disguise is Gunter. And he pretends to be some foreign fancy dude.
Yeah.
And so then we also find out that they're doing an in-auction to, like, all the innest items or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they search the penthouse.
And
they go out to dinner. They do a tour and they sort of get Esme to show them the room, hoping that they'll find the Quagmires through there.
Yeah, because their reason with the apartment being like 71 rooms.
It's a lot of rooms.
That is very likely that the Olaf hid the Quagmires inside the penthouse.
Yes.
Since he can't really go too far and they have to keep them close.
Yeah.
Because of the citywide manhunt.
Yep, and so then after that point, they all decide to go out to dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And Olaf tries to get them to go to his shoddy operation in order to capture the Baudelaires.
Yep.
But then they were like, no, we want to go to the Innis restaurant, which happens to be Cafe Salmonella.
Which was right across the street.
Probably one of my favorite puns in the entire... probably one of my favorite puns in the series, because it's not only a pun on salmon, salmonella, but it's also salmonella, as in the disease salmonella.
Yep.
So it's like a fun double pun.
Yep.
Larry, your waiter's back.
Dressed as a fish.
Trying to... And he stalls time in order for Olivia Caliban and Jacques Snicket, who come back again, to try and search for the Baudelaire. Search for the Quagmires.
At some point,
mm-hmm.
Olivia is picked up by Jacques.
Yes.
And is inducted into the secret organization.
Yep.
VFD.
Yep.
So.
And she and they
very quickly picks up on the ropes.
Yep. More than ways than one.
Yeah.
Because she's climbing up the building. So yeah, so basically that's going on while it's happening. And there's at one point where they do a musical number.
But that's at the other restaurant.
Oh, that is the other restaurant. We do
have to explain how we get there at that some random point. Oh, because of Mr. Poe is at the Cafe Salmonella.
Because of course.
And then his wife is there, who works for the Daily Pontilio. And then she ends up talking to Count Olaf in disguise.
Yep.
And just tells her of the Innis restaurant, and that paper is published very quickly. And everyone leaves Cafe Salmonella and moves on over to the Innis restaurant, where the kids manage to sneak away so they could continue looking for their friends.
Yep, and then at that point they stall him, and then musical number with Neil Patrick Harris doing his thing.
Yes.
Keep chasing your schemes, which is a pretty funny song.
Yeah. And during this, they realize something. At the bottom of the stairs, there's only one elevator. At the top of the stairs, there's two elevators.
Mm-hmm.
So they open the other elevator. There's nothing in it. They reason that their friends must be at the bottom.
And so they make a parachute down there.
Yep.
And then they
see them in the cage.
Yep. And
then we get into the next part, and unfortunately they don't have a way to open the cage.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to go back up to try to find something.
Yep.
Jerome was drugged.
Yep.
While at the second restaurant.
And so then they decide to tell Esme what's going on. But then that's when we find out that Esme is also in on it. Wow! No.
Yeah, she seemed very honest. Was like, I'm going to help you the best I can. They take her to the empty elevator, or the ersatz elevator, and she just pushes them in.
Yup, she just pushes them in, they get caught in a net, and then it's revealed that she and Olaf were actually they knew each other.
Yeah.
So they...
Olaf was her acting teacher.
Yes. So they were doing that, and then they, I guess they established that they're dating at that point.
Yep.
And then all the innuendos approach, but instead of doing anything, they dance. And
then they are able to escape thanks to Sunny.
Yep.
They get to the bottom. Unfortunately, they realize the Quagmires have been moved.
And that's when they discover the underground tunnels that are everywhere. Now, we already knew about these for, the majority of this, because Lemony Snicket was as often in them when he's dictating or narrating. And then that's when they find out that the tunnel from 667 Dark Avenue connects to their old house.
Yes, and when they try to go into the house the first time, they see a man with an eye tattoo on his ankle who they believe to be Olaf, but it is not, because it is in fact a Jacques Snicket.
Foreshadowing.
Yep.
Yeah, and at that point, I think that's when he's catching Olivia up on all the things that have happened and how all of this. And I think this is actually when we start learning of mentioning the Sugar Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah, this
season
because
the Sugar Bowl very much revolves around Esme.
Yes. And by the way, Sugar Bowl is the MacGuffin for this series.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yay. Yeah. The Sugar Bowl is, I want to say, I don't remember exactly where the Sugar Bowl starts getting mentioned in the books, but I want to say it's around the same time, like when Esme is introduced, because she's the one who's really after it.
Yes.
And then, anyway, so, yeah, and then that's also when, like, Esme is, like, yelling about how, oh man, like, I want the sugar ball, and then she mentions that a mysterious lady named Beatrice took it.
Yeah.
And we don't know who this Beatrice is. Presumably she's the same woman who Lemony Snicket writes to, because there's a Beatrice that he oh my god, at the beginning of every episode or every book there's a dedication to a Beatrice. So
yes,
maybe they're the same person, maybe they're not, who knows.
Yep.
I mean, I know, but like, who knows.
Yeah.
So basically there's that, and then she's trying to get that, and then
there's the inn auction, which the Baudelaires realize, they're trying to smuggle the Quagmires out of the city, and the way to do that is through the item at the auction that is labeled VFD.
Yep.
So they interrupt the auction, they try to buy the item, and the auction, a lot of crazy things happen.
Yep.
They do win the auction, but it realizes it was in fact a red herring.
Yep.
Because as the VFD was just a box of very fancy doilies.
Yep.
And then Larry, as well as Mr. Poe's secretary, come in, try as well as Olivia and Jacques at the end, try to capture Olaf. However, at that convenient moment, a crazy newspaper kid just rides on in, drops a newspaper.
Kid. He's my favorite.
Just drops the newspaper, and
good sight gag.
And then it was revealed the hall that they are holding the inn auction in is out, so everyone flees to the new inn hall.
Yep.
And Jacques and Olivia are helpless in trying to help. And Olaf gets away with the kids.
Who are literally in a red herring statue.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a funny joke.
And they get away, and Jerome realizes Esme does not love him anymore.
Yes.
And Jerome's like, but you can be safe with me away from the world. And the kids are like, but we got to save our friends. Olaf's going to keep coming after us. We got to save them. And Jerome's like, I'm sorry, I cannot. I know that you were doing the right thing, but I cannot.
Because he's, I don't know.
But I wish you the best in your efforts. So he technically disowns.
Yeah, kind of. Which is unfortunate. But he's still, at least he wasn't, he
wasn't killed.
No.
No one died in these two episodes.
No one died.
Did no one die in the first two episodes?
Of the first season?
No, this season.
Oh, yeah, no one died. In the books, no one died, as far as I remember.
Yeah, no one died, so...
No one died.
The closest we got was Larry freezing to death, but that did not happen.
He did not die, which is good.
Very, very not deathy yet this season.
And so then here comes the Vile Village, which is, I want to say, the turning points of the books.
Yes. Sort
of. This is kind of where things change up a bit.
Yeah. This starts off with Mr. Poe after Jerome has disowned the kids.
Yep.
Mr. Poe hears of an interesting place called a village called VFD.
Yep.
And it's basically like a community child rearing thing.
Yep.
They go. It's not the VFD they were looking for, as it was the village of foul devotees. Mm-hmm. And foul in a double pun, but more so a pun on crows, because the town is just filled with crows. Yep.
Filled with crows to the brim. And this is also funny because for these two episodes, they sort of do they sort of make fun of like genres. So in this one, the Vile Village, they do a lot of Western stuff because there's an old time saloon. Yeah, it used to be a firehouse.
Though the saloon is not used too much anymore because it is a dry town. In both senses of the word.
Yeah, yes. And this is where we meet Hector, who is the Baudelaire's guardian-ish. He's the main dude.
He's the one that houses the Baudelaires.
Yes, and he is extraordinarily nervous to the point where he faints whenever he's afraid of anything. And
mostly with the council of the town. Because the council has a lot of very strict rules.
Yes. And they force the Baudelaires to do all their chores, and then, of course, Count Olaf is following behind them. He disguises himself as a detective, and Esme disguises herself as a chief of police, and they basically,
Olaf is first apprehended by...
Oh, yes, that's right.
Jacques and Olivia in the town,
Yep.
In the saloon. They do, in fact, apprehend him and take him to the jail, and they are waiting for the chief of police to come back. However, as Alyssa has noted, it is, in fact, Esme, as they somehow got rid of the previous chief of police, something about swallowing tax?
Something like that.
But anyway, so then there's an emergency town hall meeting saying Count Olaf has been captured, wandering detective has come in, and the detective comes in, and it's Count Olaf, the kids know it, and then it's Jacques Snicket, who the kids don't know yet.
But they can recognize it's not Count Olaf. Yeah,
being presented, though no one else can, even though Mr. Poe is right there.
Still useless as ever.
Because...
Keep being useless, I guess.
Because they gave Jacques a fake single eyebrow.
Yes.
And then that's one of the two defining factors. And the other defining factor is the tattoo of an eye on his ankle, which he does have.
Yep.
Because we knew that from the previous episode.
Yes.
Ooh.
And then this is also when he points out that it's not actually an eye, but rather the letters VFD in a very stylized format.
Yes.
And thus it's sort of the symbol for the organization.
Yeah. And then the town's ready to go with their standard punishment, which is a fine or something.
Yeah.
But then Olaf is able to rile the town up to encouraging them to burn Count Olaf at the stake.
Yep. Also, fun fact, Count Olaf's disguise in this one is Detective Dupont, which is a reference to the same detective who is in some of Edgar Allan Poe's murder mystery novels.
Fun.
Yep.
Yeah. But so kids are where Jacques will die. They do he does say his name to them that they are aware he is going to die. Hector, meanwhile, secretly has been building a massive mechanical device.
Yep, which is not legal in this town.
Yeah, because it's a massive airship basically that can sustain them for 100 years without needing to come back to the ground.
Yep.
Which he intends to use to get away from the town of the rules and be free. He wants the kids to come with them, as well as the Quagmires if they can find them. But he, with the threat of punishment being raised to burning at the stake, he is now more willing to get a quicker move on.
Yes, basically. And then,
so the kids try to break into the jail.
Yep, to try and break out Jacques.
However, Olivia was also put in a different cell.
Yep.
And she is aware of what's up with the sugar bowl.
Yes.
And in order to get them out, expresses as much to Esme and convinces them to let them get away. Jacques tells Olivia to go to this place to find more about the sugar bowl.
Yep.
And it's a poster for Madame Lulu, which will become important.
Yep.
Unfortunately, while Olivia gets away, Jacques is recaptured and is then killed by Count Olaf instead. So the kids are... When the kids are working on breaking into the jail, they hear reports that Count Olaf is dead.
Yep.
And then the actual Count Olaf places the blame on the Baudelaires for two main reasons. One, for having blueprints of the jail, and for having a mechanical device.
Yep. And also, it's important to note that in the books, they actually do burn Jacques Snicket at the stake. He does not die via bludgeoning to the head, which is way more gruesome. But I guess they decided this was a little easier. I guess, yeah, that makes sense. You don't want to actually see someone.
Then my question then is, the kids are still arrested in the book.
Yes, they are.
How are they arrested?
Why
are they arrested?
I'm trying to remember how they got arrested. They do get arrested, but it's not the same way because, like I said, Jacques Snicket does in fact get burned at the stake, and I remember this because there was this whole bit in the book about mob mentality, and so like Violet, Klaus, and Sunny try to prevent the burning by dispersing themselves in the crowd and trying to be like, we don't want this, like, stop this now, that kind of thing. But I don't remember how they got arrested. They were framed for murder. I don't remember whose it was. It wasn't Jacques Snicket's death. It was someone else. But I don't remember.
But no one else died in this episode, so was that character cut then?
Maybe. I don't remember.
Interesting. Well, anyway, the kids are in fact arrested.
Yes.
They're in jail, and they agree to burn the kids at the stake after dinner.
Yes.
After dinner. They're not uncivilized. They don't burn people whenever they feel like it.
Yeah, exactly.
At agreed upon times, they do.
Yes.
However, in the jail cell, Klaus realizes it's his birthday. Mm-hmm. And as well in the jail cell, they also have a couple of pieces of paper, which were dropped by the crows.
Oh, yeah. Throughout this whole time, they've been finding couplets from the Nevermore tree that's outside of Hector's house, and they realize it's from Isadora because they're in couplets, and it's trying to communicate to them where they're trapped. Yeah,
so they have the first set, and then Hector brings the second set to them while they're in the jail, and they're able to figure out where they are in fact trapped, which is the massive dry crow statue in the middle of town.
Yep.
And then the kids devise a way to break out, which they manage to do despite being very, very loud about it.
Yep.
And then they get out. They rescue the Quagmires. Hector has left in his airship already, but they are able to get onto a fire engine after escaping from the mob.
Yep.
A bit. They get on a fire engine. They run out of town. The mob chases them down, and then Hector sees them, tries to help them get on. But before everyone can get on, the mob catches up to them.
Yep.
And Esme starts firing harpoons at the airship, trying to puncture its various balloons. They're about to succeed until Klaus notes.
Violet points out that it's a mechanical.
Oh, that was Klaus because Klaus. Oh yeah, it was Violet because she was at the bot. She let the other two go ahead.
Yep.
So you are right. I misremembered. With her mechanical device, and the townspeople start turning on Esme and Olaf. But
they don't really turn on them until she injures a crow.
Yes.
Which is like the
number one rule. And the Quagmires manage to get up, but the Baudelaires have to tell them just to go because any more damage to the balloon, and they're going to not be able to stay in the airborne.
Yep. And then they do a last-ditch effort to give them the clues to all the answers to their questions.
And then Esme just hits the notes.
Which is how she injures the bird. And then from there, the
mob is distracted. Olaf is distracted. The kids get away.
By riding the fire truck that they were in.
And now they are on the lam.
Yep. And so this is again the turning point, because this is the point where the Baudelaires go from being kids who were handed from guardian to guardian to being on the run.
Yes.
And not really having a guardian.
Yes.
So. And
the next location they end up is the hostile hospital, or
Heimlich
Hospital, as properly referred to in the episode.
Yep.
The main person we are introduced to here is well, there's two main people. The first one we see is they also the fire engine breaks down at some point.
Mm-hmm.
They try to go get some help, but the Daily Pontifilo has already posted the fact about the murder and the escape.
Yep. So they go to the
and then they are in a pit station.
Yep.
Count Olaf is there as well, and the shopkeep and Olaf are trying to catch them.
Yep.
They manage to escape and hop into a van marked VFD.
Yep.
Which in this case is what's the acronym for in this case?
What do you mean?
For the VFD.
I don't remember.
Anyway, it's not the same VFD as they are.
Oh no, it's Volunteers Fighting Disease. Yeah,
yes,
that's the VFD that they follow.
Yeah,
which are these hippie-looking dudes who sing really dumb songs to try and cheer up patients. But,
thinking that it's the best medicine and ignoring the patients when they don't have their medicine.
Yep.
But anyway, so
and then we meet. So we go into the hospital. We meet Babs, who is the secretary who's obsessed with paperwork and keeping everything in order, which makes sense. And we see the Olaf's troop come in. Olaf is dressed as Medithia's medical school.
Yes.
In order to fool Babs, and then he has to fill out a lot of forms, and he's obviously. Really upset about that, and then the Baudelaires
find the Library of Records, which thinks will have information on what they are looking for.
Yep, and then
it is mostly medical records. However, there is a lot of other special information that is kept within this library. However, Hal, the caretaker, who agrees to have them help, is very insistent on not looking at any of the paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
And keeping it locked away, so the Baudelaires try to devise. And then while they're going through the ropes the first day, a special file drops in, and it's labeled the Snicket file.
Yep.
So the Baudelaires want to see the information, but know if they try to go through proper channels, they cannot.
Yes.
So
they end up.
Unfortunately, they devise a way to take the keys from Hal.
Yep.
To break into the Library of Records to see what's on the file. However, at this point, Dr. Medical School has taken over by capturing Babs.
Yep.
And has basically the place on lockdown, trying to find the kids.
Yep.
So the kids are hiding in the unused half. Yeah,
the unfinished wing, and then that's when they steal the keys. And then once they get back to the key, and then they eventually come back to the room. Also, again, just like how the Western was the theme for last movie, this episode tackles horror. So there's like a whole horror scene where they capture Babs, and it's supposed to be, there's a reference to
The Shining.
The Shining, with the twins being like, "Come play with us." And then
later on, there's another reference to The Shining, and it's just like, here I am.
Yep. And then that's how they capture her. But the whole episode kind of has that like scary vibe, especially with the scene where, again, when they're in the library records, they find the Snicket file and they watch it and they come to the realization that somebody survived the fire.
Yes. So they think one of their parents may be alive, but at this moment, Esme comes in.
Yes.
What is trying to get them to give her the sugar bulb, though she describes it very vaguely, so they think she wants the Snicket file.
Yes.
So they're running through the records. She's got her massive spiky heels,
which are stilettos, with literal stiletto knives on them.
Yep. Which she uses as a terror scene and knocks over a whole bunch of records, ruin the records.
Yep.
Klaus and Sunny are able to get away, but Violet is captured.
Yep.
But Klaus has the file, so Klaus and Sunny try to devise a way to find Violet.
Yep, and he disguises himself as Dr. Faustus.
That sounds made up. No, it was Oxford. Oxford, where he comes from, sounds made up by Dr. Medical School.
Yep.
But Klaus figures out where Violet is being hidden, but by the time it's too late, Dr. Medical School requests Dr. Faustus to come and is preparing to do
craniectomy.
A craniectomy, meaning a removal of the head, which is noted to have a chance of death involved.
Very large chance of death.
Yeah.
And so basically, Klaus stalls for time. He, to try and make sure that Violet gets awake, and then eventually he makes the ultimate stall by saying that they can't do the operation because they have to get the paperwork.
Yes.
But then, unfortunately,
he's like bargaining with Esme about getting away.
Yes.
To an extent. And he's like, "Fine, here's what you want."
Mm-hmm.
He hands over the Snicket file, which Esme realizes is not the sugar boat, but Olaf realizes this is something very valuable.
Yeah, so he watches it. So that's how he learns that there may be a survivor to the fire.
Yeah, and however, while he's watching that, Esme does reveal that Dr. Faustus is in fact Klaus and Sunny. Mm-hmm. The kids wake up, get away. Poe happens to be there because he's checking to see if he's got the flu or something.
Yeah, which is funny because he has this awful cough that someone even mentions, you should get that checked out. He's like, cough?
What cough?
It never occurred to him that he has a cough.
Yeah. So he's aware that they are there, but they do manage to escape when Count Olaf, in his rage, accidentally destroys the file before he can watch the whole thing, causing a fire in the records and setting the entirety of Heimlich Hospital on fire.
Yes.
The kids get out of there, and Olaf and his crew are trying to get away. Yep. However, the kids don't have a proper means of escape, so sneak into the trunk of Olaf's car to follow Olaf, who is mad because there is a survivor to the fire, so he cannot, in fact, gain the inheritance.
Yep.
But finds a flyer for Madame Lulu and goes to see her. In the next chapter.
But before we go on to that, I do want to speak to a couple differences from the book.
Sure, yes.
For one, Mr. Poe actually doesn't show up in either the Hostile Hospital or the Carnivorous Carnival in the books.
Oh.
He drops off the face of the map.
He's just gone?
Yeah, because the Baudelaires are on the lam, so he's no longer in charge of their affairs. Or he would be, but, he loses track of them, basically.
Yeah.
So...
Darn it!
So, I guess apparently they decided to bring him in for this episode, which, I'm fine. I'm glad they made the joke about him, having a cough and, going to the hospital even though he's coughing all the time.
Wait, actually, I think that was in the Carnivorous Carnival episode.
What?
I think that was in the next episode.
Oh, yeah.
I think the joke about the cough. I don't think it was this episode.
One of them. One of them, they had it.
No, it could have been because both of them have basically, seating areas, and I remember the seating area more so.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
So, yeah, Mr. Poe is here, which is a change. The other change is that the person with the indeterminate gender is actually died in the hospital fire in the books.
Yeah, and then that's the reason why he's the last one to get to the car.
Yep.
And this?
I think they were trying to play with the people who've read the books, oh man. I was waiting for it. I was like, he survives? Oh, okay.
Okay.
Which I'm not too sad about. The person with indeterminate gender is probably my favorite henchman.
Yeah.
Henchperson, I should say. Because they're very fun. They're a fun character.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they were supposed to die in that fire.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not. They continue on, and so yeah.
Oh, we forgot about a big important thing. Olivia told Esme that the Hostile Hospital was the location of the precious sugar bowl.
Yes.
Which they are not able to find, but before the episode ends, we do see someone has it.
Yes, someone moved it before the fire burned down.
Yes.
And, yes.
That is very important because next episode also makes that very important.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to say about the Hostile Hospital?
No.
Then we can
move on.
Then we can move on to the Carnivorous Carnival or the Caligari Carnival.
Yes, the Caligari Carnival. So before anything happens, we get this very interesting flashback. Something that I don't think ever happens in the books. I mean, I will say, a lot of the like background secret organization stuff that we find out in the TV show are drawn from the unauthorized autobiography of Lemony Snicket.
Mm-hmm.
Or Lemony Snicket, the unauthorized autobiography, which is a supplementary book to the series.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like one of the main 13 novels, but it's like a side spin-off kind of thing where it kind of just fills you in on the lore of the series, some of the background events. You learn a little bit more about Lemony Snicket's life, kind of. You learn a lot more about like VFD and like a lot of what their practices are. And
mm-hmm.
one of the things, like, you don't really learn about like nothing like this scene happens in that book, but a lot of the stuff that, like, the fact that there are tunnels connecting all these different places is something that's established a little bit more prevalently in that book. Or the Seaball Code is mentioned, and that's where you really know what the Seaball Code is, which it comes up in the Carnivorous Carnival, and, like, a whole bunch of stuff.
But the main thing is that this episode opens at the secret headquarters of VFD.
Yep.
And there's a party going on. We see a bunch of people we've seen throughout the series. We see Montgomery.
Yep.
We see the caretaker from the third book.
Aunt Josephine.
We see the hypnotist lady.
Georgina Orwell.
Yeah.
And, yeah, everyone. Like, Jacqueline's there. Larry Waiter's there. Pretty much everyone who has been established.
Lemony Snicket and Jock Snicket are in the same room.
Yep. Brothers are in the same room.
Yep.
So basically everyone's there, and then you see a message being sent to Lemony Snicket saying Olaf knows, and then he immediately goes around now to find the mysterious Beatrice,
who is dressed as a dragonfly.
Who's dressed as a dragonfly. And he tries to warn her, and then we don't know what happens. It just cuts away after that.
But it is presumed that Olaf killed her from the context
Yeah.
at the moment. Though, because that's what I thought happened.
Yes.
But we learned later
that
that was not the case.
No.
That somehow her wings were strong enough that allowed her to fly. He tried pushing her over the edge of the cliff.
But that didn't happen.
Yeah, but anyway, that's not what happened right now, because it cuts away.
Yep.
Oh, also, we forgot something about last episode.
What?
In regards to the Sugar Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Lemony Snicket reveals he was the one that stole the Sugar Bowl from Esme.
Dun, dun, dun!
Anyway, back to Carnivorous Carnival.
Yeah.
They reach the carnival, and people go to Madame Lulu. Olaf is not necessary. Everyone's not convinced until Olaf, but Olaf is kind of convinced when he sees the logo of VFD on the tent of Madame Lulu.
Yep.
They go in. They talk to Madame Lulu for a bit, and Lulu mentions that she has a crystal ball that can reveal the secrets. And like she gets everyone down to like a T in terms of stuff. The crystal ball will tell them what Olaf wants to know of the person surviving the fire.
Yep.
But you have to wait till morning for the spirits to answer the question. Meanwhile, the kids got out of the trunk and are overhearing this.
Mm-hmm.
But they need to stay. They also overhear about like waiting until tomorrow to figure out the truth. The kids realize they need to find a way to stay.
Yep.
So they take costumes out of the trunk and dress up as
freaks.
They
dress up as Beverly and Elliot, the two-headed person, and then Shabo the wolf baby.
Who's half wolf, half baby.
Who is what Sunny does.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I bet the actress for Sunny had like a ball playing that. I know it's a little kid, but I'm sure she was like, me acting first was probably a lot of fun.
Yeah. But so the kids, they go to audition for Madame Lulu.
Yes.
Olaf helps the audition. He is also drunk off of of trunk wine.
Yeah, he is friggin' tripping.
Yes. So in the audition, he forces the kids to eat corn.
Yep.
Which is very awkward since they have two heads.
Yep.
So they hire them for the show of freaks. They are sent to the freak tent.
Yep.
Where we meet three other people. I forgot their names, but there's the Hunch.
Hugo.
Hugo with the hunchback.
Yep.
And then we have
Colette, the contortionist, and Kevin, the person who's the ambidextrous.
Like, I am a freak. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? I can hold things with two hands.
It's like
this is unnatural.
Thing. Also, fun fact: Hugo is named Hugo because of
Victor Hugo and Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yup.
I caught that one very quickly.
Yeah, yes. I don't know if Colette has any singing story, probably, but I don't remember. I don't know the literary allusion.
I mean, it makes me think of Cosette from another of Hugo's works.
That could be the relation. It's just there's so many references.
Yeah.
It's like hard to.
But anyway, I relate to Colette very well.
Yes, because you're a little bit of a contortionist.
Yeah, I am a fair bit of a contortionist, though the sound effects and the squishes were very unnecessary and even made me squirm.
Yeah. So basically they meet them. And we learn that so basically at one point the Beverly and Elliot and Radicals and Sunny go into Madame Lulu's tent to try and figure out what was up, because they in the morning they overhear
that they weren't able to overhear it, but Olaf is frustrated and they hear from the hooked henchman that one of the parents is alive.
Yep.
But Olaf asks where, but that's a separate question.
Yep.
So they have to wait till the next morning.
Yep.
So Olaf is just like, you know what? Fine, let's put on a show with the freaks. So they do the carnival show with the freaks.
And there's a big musical number.
Yep. And then after that, the kids trying to figure out. That's when the kids try to figure out what's going on with the magic. So they go into Lulu's room, check around, figure out it's all smoke and mirrors, basically.
Yep.
Well, smoke. Yeah, smoke and mirrors, literally.
Yep.
And that they find a lot of recordings of things, and they also find VFD marked on a lot of things.
Yep, and this is also where they mention like the C-ball code, for example, which only appeared in mentioned in the supplementary book. It was used, and fun fact, this is also a change from the book. The C-ball code in the book was actually based on word count. Mm-hmm. Instead of looking through your spyglass and seeing certain letters highlighted, it would be there would be a Q sound, and then every seventh word after that Q sound was the word that made a sentence. Mm-hmm. And then once the Q sound appeared again, that would be the end of the code. So I believe the Q sound is a bell or ringing. So if you heard ringing or a bell, or someone mentioned a bell, or if someone wrote down the bells are ringing, or the word ring, that would be the start of the code, and then every other word would be, or every seventh word would be the actual code. And that, but they changed it to be more visual, which makes sense, because you can't really explain that or show that well in a TV setting. So, but that was the thing. They also make a reference to the prequel series to, which I haven't actually read, to A Series of Unfortunate Events, which is, I believe the first one is Who Can Be Here, There, and at This Hour. It's called All the Wrong Questions, is what it's called, yeah. And basically it details the life of Lemony Snicket while, during his childhood working for BFD. Mm-hmm. And he makes reference, when he shows up in the reels, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah. So. But yeah, all the reels are from BFD people, from people we've known, especially. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we get a lot of information about what's going on. Yep. And from here, we figure out what VFD stands for. Mm-hmm. Volunteer Fire Department is the proper name of VFD. They hide the stuff away. They look into the closet. They also accuse them into the VFD stuff. Yep. Which is also contains a lot of Olaf disguises.
Which makes sense, because he's also a member of VFD.
Yes. And then after they're done with that, Madame Lulu comes in, and she reveals herself to be Olivia. Yep.
And in the books, this was actually Olivia Caliban's role. Olivia Caliban as a character was initially just the one-off Madame Lulu. She was just Madame Lulu, but then I guess they decided to extend her character into the librarian, which I think was a good choice. Yeah.
But she explains why she's there. It's because she came to seek Madame Lulu for help with the sugar bowl. That Madame Lulu went off to get the sugar bowl, so Olivia was subbing in her place.
Yes.
Well, she went to do that. It's been a while, so she's kind of concerned, and she's trying to stall Olaf until the sugar bowl comes back.
Yep.
Olivia confesses she doesn't truly know if one of the parents survived the fire. It was only a tactic to keep Olaf around.
Yep.
But she's certain that if Snicket believes that one of the parents survived, that they in fact did.
Yes.
So that's their reassurance. And at this point as well, before she is able to properly explain everything, she also does, mainly like with the importance of the sugar bowl, mostly. Olaf returns, having gone before to get a gift for Madame Lulu to help with the show.
Yep.
And they are a pair of lions.
Yep.
Of very hungry, very, very hungry lions.
Yes.
In a pit that Olaf promises to the crowd that tomorrow morning one of the freaks will be fed to the lions.
Yep.
Which definitely concerns people, but
Yep. And then this is when Esme, well, at one point Esme confronts there's really humorous
Madame Lulu,
where you're first you're like, oh crap, Esme knows who she is, she recognizes him, but then she just says, you're gonna steal my boyfriend, and then like that's like what she says. But eventually she wants Esme Madame Lulu pushed to the lions, and she comes in to the freak house and is all like, hey, do me a solid favor, and I'll let you join our troop. Yep.
The other freaks are fine with it. Klaus and Sunny and Violet are not, obviously. They made that a part of the information that Olivia tells the kids is that if they survive, they likely went back to the headquarters, which is in a mountain range that's kind of nearby.
Mm-hmm.
So once the kids are able to repair the roller coaster engine, they are going to use that to get to the mountains.
Yes.
Which is partly helped because they get belts from Vesme? Esme. Why did I think it was a different name now? I've been saying it there. I've been saying it rightly this whole time. Anyway, from Esme, they repair it, and they're ready for the show in the morning. Well, they're trying to get away before the show starts, but unfortunately, the show starts a little earlier than they thought.
Yes.
So, show starts. All the names are in a box.
Mm-hmm.
Olaf picks. But also, Poe is here to see this show. Count Olaf introduces him as himself, and then has to quickly explain, but not the one that died in the newspaper. Completely different, yet still as handsome. And then
was like, "Who knew that there were just too many Count Olaf?"
Count Olaf.
I was just like, "Dude, you're staring right at him."
Yep. But anyway, the freak that is picked is the two-headed one.
Yep, Beverly and Elliot, or Klaus and Violet.
Oh, they realize that they've got to do something, and they try to figure out a way to feed Olaf to the lions.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that does not go to plan.
Nope.
While they are safe from falling into the pit, Olivia, unfortunately, herself falls into the pit, is eaten by the lions, and the kids, and then Olaf burns the circus down.
Yep.
Brings all the freaks and the kids, disguised as the freaks, with them in a separate cage. The other three are stuffed in the trunk, and the Sunny is kept with Esme.
Yep.
On the way up the mountain, however, Olaf reveals to the kids that he knows who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Has the freaks in the trunk cut them off.
Yep.
And they fall off. They are about to fall off a cliff, and that is the end of the season.
Because it's the worst cliffhanger, and it is literally cliffhanger because there's a cliff involved.
Yes.
And that's actually where the book ends too. So it's like the worst cliffhanger.
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of really cool different things that happen in this book. For one, so Volunteer Fire Department was revealed to be the official organization name in the books, but it doesn't happen in Calgary Carnival or in the Carnivorous Carnival. I don't remember which book it is. I know by the end of the series, but where exactly that is officially revealed, I forget. But it's not here, so that's a change. And then the other big change is that like how the person in permanent gender was supposed to die in the fire, the bald man, one of the other Connell's associates, was supposed to die alongside with Madame Lelouch. He fell into the pit too. Yep. So, yeah.
Troops are dying off, and they recruit. Do they still recruit the freaks?
Yes, they do recruit the freaks, but they die. So
those two die.
The
older members of the troop are dying off as he is recruiting new ones.
Kind of, yeah.
But not in this case. We just have a massive troop of 12 people. 10 people. Yep. 7, 9. A lot of people.
Yes. So that is basically it. And the last thing that's important to mention is that we see the person who's been moving the sugar bowl around this whole time, because I forget if it's moved from, it might have moved to the carnival, right?
Yeah, it was moved from the hospital to the carnival.
Right. Yeah.
And then the person who stole it from the hospital arrives just as everything is on fire.
Yes. So, and then we see it, and it's a woman, but we don't know who that woman is. Although we do know that Lemon Snicket knows her well.
Yes.
So, who is she? I guess hopefully we'll find out.
Yep.
I mean, I know who she is, but we, as in the collective audience, don't know who she is.
Yes. But I'm sure that will be revealed next in the next season.
Yeah, you'll find out. I forget when she. I mean,
it's got to be before the season's over.
Yes, you'll find out who she is before then. I don't remember which book exactly you figure out who she is. At least by book 12, you definitely know who she is. But who knows? They could introduce her earlier.
Yes, they could. Because they have shown to do that. And
yes, they have.
So, here's a question I do want to ask you.
Sure.
How do you like the changes that they have made from the books?
I think all of them make a lot of sense. I mean, I like how Olivia Caliban's role was extended. She wasn't a minor character that I fell in love with or something, but I think it was a good option to sort of try and flesh out the books a bit more, to have her, have her role extended. Also have Jacques extended, because again, you don't really get to know Jacques. You only see him in the Vile Village.
Mm-hmm.
You don't talk to him very long. You don't really know much about him. You learn a little bit more about him through Lemony Snicket's narration, but you don't really learn much about him because he dies as soon as he's introduced. So I think the extension is good. I think the fact that Larry, your waiter, keeps coming back. I want to say I don't think he actually comes back. I think he the first time you ever see Larry, your waiter in the books is in the Wide Window, and I think that's the first time he's introduced in this series as a waiter for the Anxious Clown. And I don't think he might be a waiter in the Cafe Salmonella, but I don't remember. But regardless, he's not as much a part of the background as he is in this book. Jacqueline, I don't think is even a character who's in the books. She might have been, but if she was very minor and who knows. There was Gustave, Anton Monty's assistant, the one who Regina Orwell has hypnotized in the flashback. He was mentioned in the book as, Anton Monty's previous assistant, but he didn't have any sort of role, and you would only know that he was part of VFD unless you read again Lemony Snicket, the unauthorized autobiography. That's when you find out more about who Gustave is and what he's about. I don't think there are any changes that I didn't like or thought were kind of weird. I guess in some ways I'm kind of confused why they revealed the organization's name now as opposed to when it was revealed in the books. I'm guessing that's because they might be actually going to be revealing a lot more, and they're waiting, and they're
spreading it out.
Spreading it out, yeah. Which that's fine. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. And I also, we definitely. There was also the movement of the sugar bowl is also really interesting to me too, because the sugar bowl is a very mysterious object in the books, and you don't really even know where it is, or even if it, it exists, but where it is at any given time, if it may or may not be here. It's all like rumors is kind of how it's portrayed. Like, oh, it might be here, or it could be there, or we're gonna plan to do this to get it here, you know. There's not really any concrete, like, oh, this is where it is. Or this is what it, or, you know, we don't see it the way we do it.
But yeah, but overall, you are enjoying this?
Yeah, yes, I am.
And I will say, overall, I am enjoying this too, even though, holy crap, everything got so much darker after Hostile Hospital.
Yes.
Holy crap.
Yes, it does. It gets real dark. There's some darker stuff yet to come. I will say that much.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it's
literally and figuratively.
Oh, good.
I'm remembering this one scene. I won't say what it is, but like I'm just remembering this one scene.
Okay.
That'll be fun. Yeah. So I guess my next question is for you. Do you have any like theories about stuff?
Okay. So yesterday I told you I think I know who the woman with the sugar bowl was.
Oh yeah.
And I said yesterday that it was. I think it's the parent.
Yes.
The parent. I am going to change my thought.
Okay.
I am thinking it might be Beatrice.
Because
at the moment I had forgotten. At the moment I had forgotten about the quick comment from Olaf about the who knew the dragon that the wings could fly.
Yeah.
I was just so convinced that Beatrice was dead.
Yeah.
That, you know, it could be Beatrice.
Yeah,
which
it could be.
would especially explain why Snicket is so.
Lemony Snicket, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lemony Snicket. Specifically mentions about how trusting they are of her, though that depending upon how things work behind the scenes, that might not necessarily exclude the option of it being one of the parents from being a thing.
Yes. Yeah.
So Beatrice could be the parent, and it's not necessarily that they were romantically involved together; they were just friends, maybe even relatives.
I know who it is, but like, I'm not gonna say.
Yeah, sure, obviously,
but I do know. And actually, the woman that we saw, mysterious woman, I guess I'll name her for now. She's actually one of my favorite characters, so it's really nice that we're gonna meet her, and it's great.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. So you think the woman moving around the sugar bowl is, or the woman who's previously Madame Lulu as well, is Beatrice?
Yes.
Okay.
And who is potentially one of the Baudelaire parents.
Yeah, that's also...
The Baudelaire mother, probably. Since
presumably.
Yeah.
If
unless they had two mothers, but which is completely fine and acceptable.
Yeah, but we don't have... Well, we actually know that they...
Oh, yeah, it's a mother and father. They do specifically mention mother and father.
We don't know what their names are, but...
Yeah, never mind.
Yep. And I will say, I won't say, like, you will find out definitively who Beatrice is by the end.
Yes.
I won't tell you who she is or what she has to do with anything, but, like, you'll find out exactly, like, who she is, how Beatrice and Lemony are related, and her involvement with the story.
Yeah. So. But, yeah. Overall, season 2 is very good. I am very excited for season 3, and holy crap, it's gonna get so dark.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think I'll be ready.
It'll be a ride as the series is very much a ride.
But I am still anticipating it because it is a very good show and a very enjoyable show, if not necessarily fun.
Yeah, I mean, like,
fun in the conventional sense. It's a very good show, and like it's fun overall, but like you get what I'm saying.
Yes. Yes. It's really great. And I'm really interested to see how things play out, because there are some moments that now that things have changed, especially with Mr. Poe showing back up even though he's not supposed to, and B, the theater troupe not some of the members of the group not dying is like changing things up. So we'll see how, like, you know, maybe the person of indeterminate gender and the bald man live till the end. Maybe they die some other way. Who knows?
Maybe everyone dies at once.
Yeah, maybe everyone just explodes.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But
so yeah.
But yeah, that's all we have to say on A Series of Unfortunate Events Season 2. Alyssa, where can people find you?
People can find me on Twitter at The Rational Duff, and that's all I'll say. So just at me if you want to talk.
Yeah. As for me, you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at SoundJack426. You can also support me on my Patreon. Links are in the description below. You can also check me out at Nerdy Geek Talk, the YouTube channel, mostly on the Steel City Bots podcast. But yeah, and that is all I have to say. So like, share, and subscribe. That standard YouTube jazz. I'm forgetting my intro because I keep screwing. It has to change for the podcast, and I haven't figured it out yet.
We'll get there.
Like the video, comment, share. Let us know how you liked it. And until next time, this is SoundJack and Alyssa signing off.